Okay, new day, new knife. So we got a clear spot and some cardboard and various ropes and plastics. And today's knife is the, what is this? I wrote it down. The Ozark Trail Model 6311. This Ozark Trail was like $7.98. So we'll see how this does for my 8-hour EDC simulation. It has a very, very nice deep carry clip. So that is factory edge. I got some thick cardboard here. I can already feel the difference. I don't know if it's the knife or the cardboard. Okay, so I just started and I already have some observations. So one of them is this jimping here on the frame lock. It's not bad, but I can feel it, and I can imagine after 8 hours I could feel it even more without gloves. Excellent tip for piercing the cardboard and pulling. What was the other thing? There was one more thing. Oh yeah, the thumb studs. So when I'm cutting, depending on where I cut, they do get hung up on the cardboard. They hit the cardboard. So, I mean, I'm not a designer, but there seems to be some room to where they could have moved it back a little, but just some observations. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so so I don't think it liked me talking about it like that. So, also, there is a little bit of side-to-side wiggle, which I'll show once I get set up when it slows down at work. But it's not horrible, but it is something that you can notice. I just thought I'd point out that these screws on the clip are not flush, but they are very close. So they should be doing less damage to any pockets. There we are, slowly but steadily. Okay, so maybe it'll show up here. I guess it would help if I kept my right hand steady. It's just very slight. There you go. Did you see that? Look at the thumb studs. Anyway, not horrible. $8 knife. Let's see how we're doing on the paper. Grab a piece of paper. Let me rephrase that. Grab a thin piece of paper. Okay. That is with that amount of processed material and a little bit of wood carving. Okay, thought I would get this cut test in before I start digging into the weed eater line and the ropes and stuff. it still cuts paper. Sometimes it's the paper, sometimes it's how I hold the paper. Oh, let's get a better edge here. So, that still cuts paper to me. And here's what we're dealing with as far as processed materials. But I'll be focusing more now on the rubber bands and weed eater line and stuff like that. I don't want to hoard up or use up all my cardboard on one knife. Piece of paper, try that cut test again. Yeah. So, yeah, it could be is that I'm encountering some dull spots on the blade, but still cuts paper. So I've noticed, even though it still cuts paper, it doesn't seem to go through the cardboard and paper as easily as some of the other knives that I've used in the other vlogs. And I really noticed, like with the weed eater trim line, it doesn't seem to cut it as easily either. So I don't know if there's something going on with the edge as far as like maybe the geometry. I know it doesn't have any curvature. Well, very minute, so I guess that's not really a factor, but yeah, I haven't had this much trouble with some of the other blades. I mean, it still goes through, but seem like you gotta push a little harder. That's just my observations, of course. Okay, so there are, I think, some spots on the blade that are dulling. And I think that just depends on what I'm cutting. But I'm going to say that this is still cuts paper. Not as well as it did when it first started. And we do have a nice little pile going on of materials. So we have not had to touch up the blade yet with a pull-through sharpener. Okay, so we're going to call it a day as far as using the knife. I need to get out of here as soon as my shift ends. So here's the knife, paper, it still cuts, but not as cleanly. It really just depends on the paper. This is an old piece of paper too. Find something a little more newer. Okay, we had one less. I said, okay, we had one less account to take care of. So let's try it on this paper. So it cuts paper still, and I haven't touched it up, but the whole time, especially with cardboard and plastic, and even some of the rope, it was like a rough cut. Like on the plastic, I really had to push down on the weed eater line, when normally on other knives I don't have to put so much force. And when I was cutting through the cardboard, even the thin paper board, it felt kind of like, I wouldn't say struggling, but not as smooth as others. So, but anyway, I would say that I probably would have ended up, if I can get some paper that is straight, I probably would have ended up sharpening this after a little bit more time. But it did survive my 8 hours of usage, so I guess you could say you can use it. I mean, it would be a good EDC knife. Here's the material that I processed. In a nutshell, though, it was not fun to use. Like the Gerber Sumo was actually fun to use. I don't know if because the cutting was smoother. This wasn't horrible. I mean, if this was the only knife I had, it'll get an EDC day done, considering the amount of stuff I processed and the variety of materials. It did pretty good on whittling. Actually, I wrote some notes this time. So, the biggest things, there's a lack of grip on the handle, and there was 1.5 times. I did drop it once, but I almost dropped it again. It went through paper and rubber bands okay. Whittling was okay, and then cardboard still cuts, but it meets resistance. And it's not the thumb studs that I'm talking about; it's just the blade. So $8 Ozark trail knife. It will work as an EDC. Don't know what the steels are. The steels are with these Ozark trail knives. Oh wow, I thought that was a little more centered. So I think it was a little more centered when I started. Yeah, it's a little more wiggly. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're only doing a couple cuts a day, yeah, this will work just fine. So, for $8. Not the best of the ones I've tested so far. But I'm done. Oh, just a rainy day, but I gotta go pick up my meds.